Coach MJ, we're back on the Real Mission Impossible series today with the Firepower C-Suite. Bringing us up today is going to be Dr. Will Moreland, one of the most noted speakers here in the United States, a leadership transformational guru. And he's spending a little time with us today to share with us some of his insights about what the future of business is going to be, particularly with AI, and also how companies today can really look to leaders and how can leaders change the way that they lead so that they can be more effective. Will, over to you. Thank you so much for coming today.
Coach, I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to our conversation. So I'm ready to rock and roll, Coach.
All right, well, let's go. The question to you, I guess, when I was setting this up, I think, there's a lot of, back in the day, there was the Jackie Gleason, a kick the trash can leader, where the leader would walk in the room and go, who parked in my spot? And who's this? And he was scared the heck out of everybody. And of course, we've learned that leaders should be more encouraging, to be more empowering, and to lift others through encouragement. And so we know that. But that being said, with the advent of AI, will things change? And are leaders really getting the message about empathy in the first place?
That's a great question. I can remember when I joined the military back in the 90s, right? How old does that sound? But back in the 90s, I joined the military when that transition was really starting to take place, right? That transition of do what I tell you to do, don't ask any questions, to what we call involved and partnership leadership, where leaders begin to understand they could be more effective if they would involve their teams and their organizations in the decision making, if they would have conversations versus just telling people what to do. And now, as we fast forward here to 2025, what I see now, even with the advent of AI, there's even more intentionality around involving leadership and having people be a part of the decision making. So what I foresee and what I've been noticing in the marketplace, the best leaders are the leaders that understand that a collaborative effort around leadership is going to move that, as you say, that can down the proverbial road a little bit more. So I do see a lot of, especially the leaders that want to lead a long time, right? They're not on the way out. If you're in a leadership role right now and you aspire to be in that role another 10 to 15 years, then those leaders are truly understanding that a collaborative effort is the way to go.
Yeah, when you were thinking about saying that, then you said something about the collaborative leadership of today and back in the 90s, what it was like. I mean, this has really been a quantum leap, right? On what our awareness from situational to servant and all the different types of leadership that we begin to embrace. But what about startup guys, those founders? Have you had any involvement with any of those types of organizations in the recent past?
I have. And, it's a struggle for a lot of them. Just, I remember once again in the military seeing that what we call the Vietnam era leader, right? That throw you up against the wall and really scream at you, yell at you, and feeling like that was the way to go. And then when you deal with founders, one of the things that I found out, which is rightfully so, they're more passionate, I believe, about because they started this, right? This is their baby. Nobody knows how to do it better than them. And so in our trainings, we have a training where we help those founders, what we call emerging leadership. We help them emerge in their leadership, and we try to give them tools to help them change their leadership moving forward. Some of them are able to make the pivot and some of them are not. And the ones that are not, we actually see them struggle in the marketplace. And eventually they kind of, for lack of a better term, die off.
Yeah, because it's really, really hard. Like you said, founder is the one who's nursing the business. It was their baby. And as they grow that, it could be like a 3-person organization, for example, and now they start to scale a little bit. And the last thing that they're able to do very often is let go, is to delegate, is to hand over some of those controls and let things happen.
When I look at my leadership, even with inside of my own company, most founders, most entrepreneurs, you start off and you're doing everything and you're wearing every single hat. You learn how to do things, you get good, you get efficient, and it really could be to your detriment, right? The worst thing that can happen is for you to get efficient in something you shouldn't be efficient in, right? And so I teach leaders and I teach entrepreneurs, the first thing you want to do is figure out how you can fire yourself. Take out a list and write down every task, every role inside the company that you should be looking to fire yourself from, whether that's through delegation or whether that's through automation. You should be looking at firing yourself. When I look back at myself and my company, probably one of the things that held us up where I created a bottleneck is when everything had to run through me. And so I literally had the team waiting for me to give a yes, waiting for me to give a nod if they could take the next step. Well, that becomes overwhelming and that becomes a bottleneck inside organizations. And so those leaders that struggle with letting go of the reins, they really stifle the company growth and they stifle potential leaders and leaders that are in place. And so what I've learned to do is hire well and get out the way. Let them do what I hired them to do.
Yeah, that's really great advice. I'm just thinking about even some of the tenets of basic time management say, how am I spending my time here? And is this hour that it just took me to do this dovetail onto what you've just said? Is this the best use of my time? Or if I were to give this to somebody else, can I be growing the business? Can I see the business in 30,000 feet instead of at 3 inches away from it? And that's a really, really hard thing to do for a founder, really, for sure.
We talk about time a lot, and I have this little acronym, TIME, time. Time is my everything. And so we evaluate everything that we're doing, especially from the leadership perspective. Is this worth my time? Is this worth my time? And the leaders that finally get it, it's like the light bulb goes off. And, just to put it in a monetary task, is this a $10 task that I'm fumbling with, or is this a $10,000 task? And so one of the things that I try to do is find out what is it that my company pays me for? Like I'm the leader of the company, I'm the CEO, but what is it that they really pay me for? And if you can find that genius zone, that sweet spot. So like for me, my company, Moreland Training and Associates, they pay me basically for three things. They pay me to create content, develop business opportunities, and network. That's what I get paid for. If I'm doing anything outside of those three, I'm really in the way. And so they try to keep me and I try to stay in the creative zone. And so I've trained them to help train me. And so if they see me involving myself, they'll come up to me and say, "Is that your major three? Are you creating? Are you networking? Are you developing business opportunities?" And they have that autonomy to pull my coat and to pull me on the carpet and say, "Will, you're in the way." And I've
Oh,
learned now
oh,
it's
that
better
was
for me to get out the way.
that must have been a big moment when that first happened, then when you
Well,
handed over the opportunity for them to call you out.
I had an assistant and she really helped me with this. And we would do projects like I write creating content. So one of my things is writing books. And so I would use so much time, spend so much time trying to turn over a perfect manual, right? I was trying to turn over a perfect manual. I was trying to I was trying to edit the book myself. That's what I was trying to do.
Right.
And she came to me one day, and because I kept missing deadlines, because I'm trying to turn in this perfect manual. And I remember AJ came up to me and she says, "Sir, that's my job and you're not allowing me to shine and you're not allowing me to do my expertise." And she was absolutely right. And the moment I realized that, we were able to create so much content because now I understood that I only had to put in the meat of it, right? What is my ideas? What was my philosophy? And so we have a thing now, I do the first 40%, and then I let the team do the rest of the 60%, the editing, the how the cover should look and everything else. And so when I realized that, it was a real game changer for us.
Right. So you're using your team like people are using AI today.
Yeah, and we're really excited about AI now, man, the possibilities of AI.
Yeah. I mean, just thinking about yourself as a writer, coming up with a good, good nucleus draft, and then just pushing that into it, writing that all as amply as you possibly could, and just seeing how far that can go out and seeing all the different branches that it creates. It's amazing.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're doing and how we're embracing AI is I've told my whole team that I want them to be able to use AI to do about 75 to about 80% of their job. We're using AI not as a replacer, but as an enhancer. And so I'm letting AI do the heavy lifting. So it's my idea, it's my philosophy, and we get the engine. AI is dormant without us. If we don't feed AI will just sit there all day, right? If we specifically think about Chat GPT, it's not like Chat is jumping off of our computer saying, this is what you have to do. It's empowered by us. So I'll wake up every single morning and I'll have a thought and I'll have an idea and I'll feed it and we'll go back and forth. We'll have this like volley session where I'll go, once again, I'm doing that 20, 30%. AI is doing the heavy lifting, and then I put what I call my willism on it, right? And so you're absolutely right. It's a game changing tool, and the companies, organizations, the CEOs, and leaders that embrace it, they're going to be on the front line in the future.
Well said. I think one of the things when I like to talk to authors about, and just to help the audience understand, how many books have you written so far?
Yeah, I've done about 50 or so books.
Okay, so it's only 50, folks. Just
Yeah,
so
only 50.
so it's not, you need to go
I'm
out.
a slouch.
It's not like you need to go out and buy a brand new bookshelf. Hello, but yeah, 50. Oh gosh, that's a big one. So here, you can help me out then. We have a business called Carrington Agency where we help people who have expertise in their own wheelhouse as executives. And they've always kind of thought, gosh, I really would like to write a book, but I don't know what to say. Will I be good enough, etc. And we bring them into a coaching funnel whereby we're able to extract the real good golden juice out of that and help them write a book and then become a paid speaker, which is everyone's ambition. For yourself, what was that journey like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, when I got around to writing my first book, it really was all around people asking me my story. They were asking my story. How did you go from being an at risk youth to being a sought after leader around the world? And I would go and speak, and people really wanted to continue the conversation. They wanted to go deeper, they wanted to know more. And I started to realize after about the 10th, 100th person asked me if they could have 10 minutes with me, if they could have 30 minutes to pick my brain, I realized that wasn't an effective way to get my message out. And so I really started thinking, what would be the most, and this is before podcasts and all that type of stuff. I was like, what would be the most effective way I could tell my story, get it out, and be able to empower people with my story? And when I thought about it, it was the book. And I call books the gift that keeps on giving. And so when I think about the extension of my keynote, I think about the extension of my brand, it became a no brainer that a book was going to be the best way to do that. And the reason why I've been able to write so many books is because I think about books just as an extension of my ideas. And so, Coach, if I come across something that has worked for me, that has helped me in business, that has helped me in life, that has helped me in relationships, and I think that it will help someone else, the first thing I think about is putting it in a book. How can I get this idea? How can I get this concept? How can I get this philosophy into the hands of a lot of other people? And so for me, that's how the book journey started. I never imagined that I would write that many books, but once we started going, we figured out a formula we like to use. And once we figured out that formula, then it was gangbusters.
Amazing. And with 50 books underneath your belt, you must have learned a lot about book marketing too.
Yeah, I was listening to Robert Kiyosaki years ago, and he was talking about becoming a best-selling author, a best-selling author. And he was doing an interview, and he really began to break that down. And he says, I want you to listen to what I just said. And he says, I'm a best selling author, not a best writing author. I'm a best selling author. And he began to explain to the young lady, he says, when I learned how to market my books, when I began how to market myself and market the brand, that's what people were really buying. Because to be honest with you, that's all people have to go off of, right? They're not literally in the bookstore reading the whole book. They're going to look at the cover. They're going to maybe look at back jacket. They're going to maybe look at some of the contents. And so if you don't know how to market and really create noise around your idea, create noise around your philosophy, you'll end up like a lot of authors with a garage full of books.
Right, which is what happens. So many, you're right. So you've taken all of the things that you've learned all throughout your career so far, bundled them up. They're now brand Dr. Will Moreland. What's next for you?
Yeah, so now I'm really super excited. Here recently, I became the CEO of AI powered SaaS company. It's called Speaker Realm. And what we've done with Speaker Realm, we've literally created the first AI operating back office for speakers. And so what we're able to do with technology is literally light the fire under a speaker's brand. And so we've created a platform. If you think about all the tools that you use to probably run your business, this CRM and this lead generation tool, what we've done is created one office suite that you're going to be able to control and operate your business under one umbrella, which we call Speaker Realm. And so, as a matter of fact, we just literally launched last night what we call our Founders Edition, where we demoed it for about 100 or so speakers, and it just went amazing. Everybody is super, super excited about it and the possibilities of integrating AI into your business. I was sharing with them, we're at a moment in time where we're going to see 1 to 3 member companies, 1 to 5 member companies really begin to scale to 100 million. Even there's talk that with AI, you're going to be able to literally operate $1 billion operations once you understand how to use AI bots and agents and things like that. So that's what really has my attention right now as we continue to build our brand, as we continue to work with our clients on our consultant side. But right now, Speaker Realm is what really has my attention, and we're growing that business right now.
We want to be able to get our team to be able to put that information out there because that sounds like very compelling, particularly for anyone who wants to be an author or a speaker.
Yes, sir.
They can
Yeah,
advantage all your know-how.
It's going to be amazing. It's an amazing suite of products. And we have AI agents that will, as a speaker, that will help you create and craft your keynote, your one sheets, your operating systems, your CRMs. And what separates us in the market is we're using voice AI generated bots. So to give you just an example, if you called into my office now, our AI agent is the one that fields those calls. And then when it comes to outbounding, I can do anywhere from 500 to 1,000 outbound calls simultaneously with our AI agent. And so when we just want to make that first person contact, so we have a list, we have a list of numbers that we want to reach out to. Now our AI agent can do it.
Wow. That's just mind blowing. I mean,
yeah,
1,000 calls simultaneously. Whoa.
Right. You can't compete with it. Can't compete
No,
with
you
it.
can't. Well, you can't even think about it. Like, if you think about it, how do you conceive an idea like that with an analog mindset?
Exactly. You can't.
You get bogged down in the mud. Sorry, Fred Flintstone, that just wasn't work. Hey, Barney, how does this work? I don't know. Terrific. Well, how can audience today get in touch and use your services? Because you speak on a variety of different things. Where is your passion? If you were given a blank canvas and you were to say, listen, we'd love to have you as a keynote speaker this year for this organization, what do you really love speaking about the most?
Yeah, so thank you for that. And my passion lies around civility. And for the last 15 years, I've been talking about this subject, leading with civility, and how every leader can create a culture of champions. And so when I work with organizations and when I go around the country and around the world and talk, I talk about civility and how you can use the power of civility in your leadership to be a more effective leader, to be a more transformational leader. So if you're an organization, association, a company out there, and you really want your team members to be more productive, if you want them to be more efficient, it really is what we talked about earlier, Coach, how you lead. One of the things that I tell leaders every day at the dinner table, someone's talking about you. And either you're the encourager or you're the jerk, and you get to decide, right? When someone walks in the house and their partner asks them how today go, they're talking about you. And they're either going to say, man, I have an amazing boss, or they're going to be saying, my boss is a jerk. And so we give them tools and we give them strategies to become more transformational leaders. And so that's what I'm really passionate about, especially in the world and the climate that we're in right now, how we talk to people. I tease a lot and I say, I get to go around the world and teach people how to play nicely in the sandbox. And so that's where my mission lies. If this, I've been so blessed, Coach, over my career to be able to travel to so many countries and interact with so many people. And we really do live in a phenomenal world. It gets clouded sometimes, and I just try to clear the glass for people to remind them that people are amazing. This world is amazing, and we're better together.
And isn't it true that when you send out that kind of signal, when you emulate, when you vibrate that positivity, that positive things just happen all around you, and it goes both ways. So leaders today can decide if they're going to have a great team, if they're going to nurture a great team, if they've got a cooperative team, if they're really getting things done, if they're hitting breakthroughs, and if they can just get rid of, jettison all those frustrations, all those habits of frustrations,
Yeah.
because a lot of those are knee-jerk reactions, right? Things that they learned from their leaders before, maybe even from some of their relatives, maybe even from other TV shows. So
Right.
they can just understand that, the basic, when it really comes down to it, it's RESPECT. And if they can give respect and take respect for others as well, then you're already got a great start. That's a perfect platform to start. Would you agree with that?
I do. I tell leaders all the time that your words are seeds. Everything that you say, you're planting a seed, and that's the harvest you're going to get. So if you want a fired up team, if you want a motivated team, if you want a productive and efficient team, then what words are you using to plant in that ground? And so you just think about, if I come and call you stupid, if I come and call you lazy, how effective is that person going to be? How motivated, how inspired is that person going to be? Or if you go to that person and say, you know what, you're probably one of the best hires we've ever had. We're looking forward to working with you. Man, you so fit in this culture. I can't imagine this company without you. Thank you so much for your input. How do you think that person's going to respond? How do you think they're going to be feeling in the morning about coming to work? They're going to be excited when you come to them and say, hey, we're a little bit tight. We're going to need people to work a little bit overtime. Would you mind working over? That person is going to be more apt to do that and work with you and help you achieve your goals and reach your mission and your metrics and your KPIs, versus if you're downplaying them. And so one of the things I always remind leaders is, ask yourself this one question. Stephen Covey said in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he said, start with the end in mind. And so every conversation, every interaction we have, we should start with the end in mind. What do I really want to happen at the end of this conversation? What is the goal of this conversation? What is the goal of this interaction? So even if one of my team members made a mistake and I'm going to them to talk about the mistake, what is the goal after this conversation? Well, the goal is, I want them to understand the mistake that they made, but I want them to be empowered to understand that this is not the killer, that I'm not going to fire you. I just want you to learn from this and I want you to get better. And so that's the goal in mind. And if you do that, you begin to see how this plays out in every area of your life. I tell people, if you can figure out how to do this right at work, where we invest so much time throughout our lives. If we can get it right at work, then we can start to get it right in the home, and then we can get it right in the community.
And that, my friends, is the key to relationships. Perfect. Dr. Will Moreland here today. Message to all of you: be nice.
Be nice.
Be nice. Thank you, Will. We'll be putting up all the contacts on your links. Follow Will Moreland. Here, I'll show you all the contacts here. Our editors will be putting this up. Thank you so much, Will. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Coach.